All right, gearing up for that ICT System Tester interview, we're going to unpack how to make a killer impression.
Yeah, we're skipping the generic stuff.
We've got 10 targeted questions straight from real interview guides.
Exactly. And we'll sprinkle in some extra career tips to really help you shine.
Love it. So you're prepping, right?
What's really interesting is how much emphasis is placed on how you think, not just knowing a bunch of tech terms.
Okay, so they want to see the problem solving in action.
Interviewers want to know you can actually solve problems, not just like recite definitions from a book.
Got it. So let's jump right in. First question. Can you explain your experience with test case creation?
With this one, they're trying to figure out how well you get that whole testing life cycle, you know?
Like from start to finish.
Can you take those system requirements and translate them into specific, actionable tests? Think of each test case as a mini experiment. You're trying to isolate a function and see if it does what it's supposed to do.
Okay, so how do we nail this one?
Highlight your methodology, like, do you use boundary value analysis or equivalence partitioning? Show them you're not just randomly clicking things.
Right, got to have a system.
Also, mention any test case management tools you've used.
So, like what, specific software or platform?
And have a couple of really clear examples ready that show off your critical thinking.
Okay, walk me through an example. How would I answer this?
Let's say you're testing an e-commerce site. You could talk about how you created test cases for, let's say, user registration.
Okay, I'm with you.
And focus on things like password strength requirements, or maybe what happens when you enter an invalid email format.
Makes sense.
Don't forget to talk about the outcome, though, right? Did your testing find any really critical bugs? What kind of impact did it have on the whole project?
So it's not just about what I did, but how it mattered.
Exactly.
Okay, what about follow-up questions? What else might they throw at me?
They might ask you to describe a time you had to create test cases for a really complex system, or how you handle those requirements that are constantly changing.
Oh, yeah, that's a real challenge.
It's all about thinking on your feet, and this is where RoleCatcher can be super helpful.
Okay, we've mentioned RoleCatcher. How does it fit in here?
Well, it uses AI to really analyze your resume,
Uh-huh.
and then it can identify areas you might want to strengthen based on the specific job you're going for.
So it helps me figure out what to focus on.
Exactly.
But how does that help me answer these interview questions?
RoleCatcher can help you figure out the most relevant skills and experiences for each job. Then, when you're thinking about your answers, you can use those same strengths to make your responses even better.
Interesting. Okay, so it's like a custom prep guide for each interview.
Exactly.
Okay, question number 2. How do you prioritize testing tasks when working on multiple projects simultaneously? This is like the ultimate juggling act.
It really is. And they want to see you handle that pressure, those competing demands, without dropping any balls.
Without messing things up.
Exactly. This is where your organizational skills really shine. Do you use a specific framework, maybe like the Moscow method? How do you talk to stakeholders, the people involved, to figure out what's truly urgent?
Okay, I'm seeing the theme here. Be
Right.
specific. Explain your process.
Right. And what kind of follow-up questions should you expect for this one?
Good question. What do you think?
Well, they might ask for a specific example of a time you had to totally reprioritize tasks because something unexpected happened, or how you deal with conflicting deadlines from different projects. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So think about those tough decisions you've had to make under pressure.
Okay, got it. Moving on to question number 3. Can you describe your experience with automated testing tools? This is where I can really show off my tech skills, right?
Absolutely. They're looking for someone who knows the tools, but also understands why automation is so important.
So not just a button pusher, but knowing the strategy behind it.
Exactly. They want to see you're a strategic thinker.
Okay.
You can mention tools like Selenium, Appium, or JMeter, but don't just list them. Explain how you've used them, how they've helped you improve things,
Like, give concrete examples.
Yeah, examples of how you've used them to work more efficiently and get better quality.
Okay. What's a good example of how to approach this one?
You could talk about how you put in place a whole test automation framework and how that reduced the time spent on testing while actually increasing what you could cover.
Wow, that's impressive.
Or maybe how you integrated automated tests into a continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline.
Okay, I'm following you.
That allows for faster feedback and releases.
That's smart. By the way, have you checked out RoleCatcher's interview prep stuff? It's got a huge database of practice questions, including ones specifically for automated testing.
Oh, that's cool.
Hold on. So it doesn't just help with the resume, it can help me practice my answers too.
Exactly. It's like having a virtual mock interview. and it's customized to the specific role you're going for.
Wow, that's really helpful. Okay, back to our list. Question number 4. How do you ensure that your testing is thorough and comprehensive?
Oh.
I feel like they want a guarantee here.
In a way, they do. They want to see that you really understand testing, and you know how to apply those testing principles in a smart way.
Okay, so it's not just about checking boxes.
No, it's about strategy. This is where you can show off all that deep knowledge of black box, white box, and gray box testing. Don't just name them, though.
Right, explain them.
Explain how you use techniques like equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis.
Okay, those are the specifics.
Yeah, and it's about maximizing coverage while also being efficient.
And what about documentation? Is that important mention here?
Definitely. Good documentation is key.
Of course, got to keep track of everything.
Talk about how you document test cases, the results, and those bug reports.
So they can see the whole process is organized.
Exactly. Mention any tools you've used for test management and defect tracking. They want to see a systematic approach.
Got it. What kind of follow-ups can I expect on this one?
Well, they might ask you to describe a time you had to test a system, but you didn't have much documentation to work with. Or how you approach things like performance or security testing. That's the non-functional stuff.
Okay, right. There's more to it than just functionality.
They want to know you can adapt your approach depending on the situation.
Noted. On to question 5. Can you explain your experience with load testing? I'm guessing this is all about making sure those systems don't just crash under pressure.
You got it. It's all about simulating those real-world user loads.
So like a stress test.
Yeah, you're looking for those performance bottlenecks. What slows things down? You can mention tools like JMeter, LoadRunner, Gatling.
Right. But again, it's not just about naming tools, right?
Right. Explain what types of load tests you've done, the stuff you measured, and what you learned from it. Did you find any problems? How'd you fix them?
Makes sense. And any follow-up questions I should be ready for.
They might ask you about a specific performance bottleneck you ran into and how you solved it. Or they might quiz you on different load testing methods or, those key performance metrics.
Okay, so be ready to show off my analytical skills.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, challenge accepted. Let's tackle question number 6. Can you give an example of a time when you encountered a difficult bug and how you went about resolving it? Story time.
It is story time, but it's a story where you're the hero.
Okay, I like that.
They want to see how you think critically when you're under pressure. Pick an example that shows off your problem-solving process. How did you find the bug? What tools did you use? How did you work with the developers to fix it?
Okay, so what makes a good example? Should I go for the most complex bug I've ever seen?
Not necessarily. What's more important is that the example shows your methodical approach, your ability to analyze data, and how you communicate.
Okay, so the whole process matters.
Yeah, think of a time when you had to really work with others to solve it.
Got it. What about those follow-up questions? Any curveballs they might throw?
They could ask about a time when you didn't have much information to go on. Or maybe you couldn't make the bug happen again consistently.
Right, some bugs are tricky like that.
Or they might want to hear more about how you worked with the developers, so be prepared to talk about those tricky situations.
Okay, I'm taking notes. Moving on to question 7. Can you describe your experience with security testing? This one feels high stakes.
It is. Security is so important these days. They want to know you take it seriously. You can talk about your experience with tools like Burp Suite, Nessus, or OWASP, AZP.
Okay, so name the tools, but what else?
But again, go beyond that. Explain the types of security tests you've run, the vulnerabilities you've found, and what you did to fix them.
So show I can find the problems and actually understand how to fix them.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to talk about how you report those vulnerabilities, responsibly. That shows you get the ethical side of things.
Right, there's a right way to do it.
What kind of follow-up questions do you think they might ask about security testing?
I'm not sure. What do you think?
Maybe they'll ask you to describe a time when you found a really critical vulnerability and how you handled it. Or they might quiz you on specific security threats or best practices. Are you up to date on everything?
Okay, I'll definitely brush up on my security knowledge.
Sure.
Question number 8. Can you explain your experience with performance testing? This goes beyond just making sure the system doesn't crash, right?
It does. Performance testing is all about making sure systems are fast, scalable, and stable. They have to meet certain standards.
So like fine-tuning an engine.
Exactly. You can talk about tools like JMeter, LoadRunner, or Gatling again, but explain what types of tests you've run. What did you measure? What insights did you get?
Okay, so give some specific examples again.
Right. What kind of performance issues have you dealt with?
Let me think.
Maybe you found bottlenecks that were slowing things down or using up too many resources. Explain how you analyzed the data, found the root cause, and then worked with the developers to fix it.
Okay, so problem solving, but in the performance area. Got it. What about follow-ups on this one? How might they test my knowledge?
Hmm. They might ask you to explain certain performance testing methodologies or dive deeper into those key performance metrics. They could even give you a hypothetical situation and ask how you test it.
Okay, sounds like a challenge. Now for question 9, can you describe your experience with agile testing methodologies? So this is about being flexible and adaptable, right?
Absolutely. Agile testing is all about collaboration, flexibility, and continuous feedback.
Okay, all those buzzwords.
They want to see you're comfortable in a fast-paced, iterative environment, so you can mention your experience with things like sprint planning, daily stand-ups, sprint reviews, and retrospectives.
Okay, I've heard of those.
But don't just list them.
Right, how do I show them I actually know agile?
Explain how you actually incorporate agile principles into your testing. How do you work with the developers and product owners? How do you handle those ever-changing requirements and priorities?
So real-life examples of being agile.
Exactly. And what kind of follow-up questions do you think they might ask?
Well, maybe about challenges I've faced in an agile environment, or how I handle testing in those short sprints.
Yeah, they might ask about specific tools or methodologies too. Be ready to show them you really believe in Agile.
All right, time to channel my inner agile master. Final question. Can you explain your experience with continuous integration and continuous delivery, CI/CD? I have to admit, this one makes my head spin a little.
Haha, yeah, CI/CD can seem complicated. But the main idea is automating that whole software development process for faster and more frequent releases.
Okay, automating everything.
They want to know that you understand how testing fits into that whole automated workflow.
Okay, but where do I even start?
Well, it's helpful to mention specific tools like Jenkins, GitLab CI, or Circle CI, but it's even more important to explain how you've actually integrated automated tests into that CI/CD pipeline. Talk about the challenges and what benefits you've seen from using CI/CD.
Okay, so real-world experience again.
Exactly. And what kind of follow-up questions might they ask about CI/CD?
I'm not sure. Any ideas?
They might ask you to describe a specific CI/CD pipeline you've worked with, the different stages, and the tests that were automated at each stage.
Okay, so get specific.
Yeah, they might also ask about how you've troubleshooted problems in CI/CD, or your understanding of things like build automation, test automation, and deployment automation.
Right, so all those pieces of the puzzle.
They want to see you understand the whole process.
Okay, deep breath. We tackled all 10 questions.
Oh, hold on. Before we move on, I wanted to mention how helpful RoleCatcher can be for these CI/CD questions.
Okay, how so?
It doesn't just have practice questions, it gives you insights tailored for specific roles. So you can see how a company like, say, Google might view your CI/CD experience differently from a smaller startup.
That's really smart. Knowing those different approaches is super helpful.
It really can make a difference.
All right, so we've covered the interview questions. What's next?
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about the bigger picture. Your career as an ICT system tester, it's not just about this one interview, right? It's about the whole journey.
Okay, all ears.
So typically you'd start as a junior ICT system tester, and then you gradually move up to associate, then senior, and maybe even principal tester. And as you progress, your responsibilities change too.
Yeah, so a junior tester, they're mostly focused on running those predefined tests. But a senior tester, they might lead the testing for huge projects.
Okay, so bigger responsibilities.
Right, they might mentor the junior team members, even help come up with the overall testing strategies for the whole organization.
Wow, so there's real room to grow in this role, like take on more leadership as you get more experience. Actually,
That's pretty exciting. But how do we actually make that climb? What are some strategies to move up that ladder?
continuous learning is key. You got to keep learning.
Makes sense, the tech world is always changing.
Right, that ICT landscape is constantly evolving, so you got to stay updated on the latest technologies, methodologies, and all those tools. Getting certified can really help too.
Okay, certifications, like what?
Like the ISTQB certified tester, or maybe the CSQA. It shows you're serious about professional development, makes you more competitive.
Okay, certifications noted. But there's just so much to learn out there, so many technologies and tools. It's kind of overwhelming. Any advice on how to focus?
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in all that information. That's actually where tools like RoleCatcher can be super helpful.
Okay, RoleCatcher again? How so?
They have tons of resources, career guides, skill guides, interview guides, all designed to help you learn what you need to know quickly.
So it cuts through the noise.
Exactly. For example, you can use RoleCatcher to see what skills and knowledge are in high demand for ICT system testers right now.
So I can tailor my learning, focus on what employers actually want.
Exactly. You'll stand out more if you have the skills they need. And speaking of standing out, building a solid portfolio is super important too.
Right, showing what you can do.
Yeah, you want to showcase your work, highlight your skills, and really show that passion for testing.
Okay, but how do you build a portfolio that actually stands out? There are so many different platforms and formats.
Good point. Start by picking a platform that shows off your work well, something like GitHub, Behance, or even your own website. Then, choose projects that show off your skills in different testing areas, like functional testing, performance testing, security testing, automation, that kind of thing.
Okay, so a mix of projects.
Yeah, and when you're describing them, give some context. Don't just list them. Talk about the goals of the project, what your role was, the challenges, the results. Tell the story of what you did.
Okay, so it's not just what I did, but how I did it.
Exactly. And visuals can help too.
With screenshots.
Yeah, screenshots, diagrams, maybe even short videos. Those can make it more engaging, help people understand your work better. If you've done automation testing, you could include some code samples or even demos of your tests in action.
That's a cool idea.
And don't forget to get feedback. Share your portfolio with people you trust, colleagues, mentors, career counselors. They can give you great advice and help you make it even better.
Okay, feedback is key. So to sum it up, building a successful career in this field means continuous learning, getting certified, and building a killer portfolio.
Right.
But we talked about AI earlier and how it's playing a bigger role in recruitment. That can be a little scary knowing that algorithms are often the first ones looking at our applications. How do we navigate that world of automated recruiters?
It's a good question. AI is definitely becoming more common in hiring. And it's important to understand how those systems work so you can tailor your application. AI systems are usually trained to scan resumes and cover letters for keywords and phrases that match the job description.
So we need to make sure our applications are speaking their language.
Exactly. Don't just use a generic resume and cover letter. Really study the job description and highlight the things that match what they're looking for. Use the same keywords and phrases they use. It helps the AI system see you as a good fit. And this is another area where RoleCatcher can really help.
Okay, tell me more about how it can help with those AI systems.
RoleCatcher has this AI resume analysis feature. It scans your resume and compares it to specific job descriptions.
Uh-huh.
It can tell you what's missing, suggest better wording, and even recommend changes to the format to make it more appealing to both human recruiters and those AI systems.
Wow, so it's like having a resume expert who knows exactly what those AI systems are looking for.
Exactly. But remember, it's not just about getting past the AI. You still have to impress the human recruiters once you get that interview.
Right, of course. So we've talked a lot about how to answer those tough interview questions. But are there any other tips for making a great impression during the interview?
Definitely. First of all, be prepared. Research the company, the role, practice your answers, plan your outfit. All that stuff will help you feel more confident.
Okay, so preparation is key. What about once I'm actually in the interview? Any tips for staying calm under pressure?
Remember to breathe. Seriously, take some deep breaths. It'll help you slow down and think clearly. Make eye contact with the interviewer, speak clearly, and don't be afraid to ask questions if you need to.
What if I get flustered and blank on a question?
It happens to everyone. Just acknowledge it, take a breath, and regroup. They're more interested in seeing how you handle those situations than in you being perfect.
That's good to know. So be prepared, take care of myself, and focus on clear communication. But beyond the technical stuff in the interview prep, what advice do you have for someone just starting out as an ICT system tester? What are the most important things to keep in mind?
That's a great question. Starting out in any career can be a little scary, but here are a few things to remember. First, have a growth mindset. The tech world changes so fast, so be ready to learn new things all the time.
So it's not just what I know now, but being willing to keep learning.
Exactly. See challenges as chances to grow. Second, build a strong network. Connect with other testers, developers, industry people. Go to meetups, conferences, online forums. Networking can lead to new opportunities, and you can learn a lot from others.
Networking? Check. Any other words of wisdom?
Be patient and don't give up. Building a career takes time and effort. Don't get discouraged if you hit some bumps in the road. Learn from those experiences, stay focused on your goals, and keep pushing forward.
Love that. So growth mindset, networking, and persistence. And of course, having tools like RoleCatcher in your toolbox can really help.
For sure, it can help you with your resume, interview prep, and navigating that whole tech career world.
Awesome. Well, I think we've covered a lot today. We went through those 10 interview questions, talked about career strategies, and even explored how AI is changing the hiring process. But for our listener who's getting ready for that big interview, how do they take all this information and actually succeed?
It's all about connecting the dots. We've talked about a lot of different things, but you need to bring them all together to show them you're the right person for the job.
So it's not just about memorizing answers. It's about understanding why they're asking those questions and showing them my passion, my problem-solving skills, my commitment to quality.
Exactly. Technical skills are important, but so are those soft skills like communication, teamwork, and being adaptable. Highlight those in your answers and let your personality come through.
Right. Show them I'm not just a robot. I'm a real person who loves testing.
Exactly. And that brings us to something really important, the human element. We've talked about all the technical stuff, but at the end of the day, you're talking to people.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this human element.
It's about making a connection with the interviewers. Show them your passion, your enthusiasm, your genuine interest in the job. Yeah, they want to see you're excited to be there, not just going through the motions.
So it's about more than what's on my resume. It's about showing them who I am, that I really care about testing.
Exactly. So think about how to get that across when you're prepping. Maybe share a story about how you got into testing. Talk about a project that you're really proud of. Or just tell them how excited you are about this opportunity, to join their team and make a difference.
Right, those are the things that make you stand out. But how do I balance that with showing off my skills and experience?
Practice. Practice those answers. Not just for the technical stuff, but for those questions about your experiences, what motivates you, what you want to achieve. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll be just being yourself in the interview.
Practice makes perfect, or at least it gets us closer. Any last-minute tips before I walk into that interview room?
Take a deep breath, believe in yourself, and trust that you've prepared well. You got this.
I love that. Believe in yourself. Such a simple but powerful message. Well, there you have it, folks. Another deep dive complete. You're now armed with the knowledge, the strategies, and the confidence to absolutely crush your ICT System Tester interview.
Remember, preparation leads to confidence. And with the right approach, you'll be well on your way to landing that dream job.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher can be a huge help along the way. It's like having a secret weapon in your job search arsenal.
Absolutely. It can help you fine-tune that resume, get ready for those tough questions, and navigate the ever-changing tech world.
It's a game changer. So good luck with your interview. We're rooting for you.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep learning.
And keep believing in yourself.